sunny Sunday afternoon last month, I had some time to myself. I needed sunlight and to make some art. So I took my watercolors and art journal outdoors to do some color mixing inspired by a reel by Lacey Walker, Rebel Unicorn Crafts on Instagram. I used just two primary colors, yellow and blue, to see how many different greens I could find between the two. It went pretty well, but with the watercolor, subtle variation was difficult. To have more footage for a video for you, I played with yellow and red indoors another day. Inspired by other color mixing reels on Instagram, I also did a quick video of mixing complementary colors to make a muted autumn palette. But it was not yet autumn on the calendar, and I hold on to summer as long as I can. Now, well, the calendar says it's fall. It's also week 39 of the 52-week art journal journey. Welcome. I'm Melinda, and I'm here to encourage you to reclaim your creativity and establish a healthy habit of creative self-care through my simple form of art journaling. While my Australian friends are heading towards summer, I'm trying to ignore the fact that my corner of the world is barreling toward winter. Though I do have to accept that my hemisphere has entered its 3 months assigned to fall, as have I. At least my body has, not my spirit. But we are doing some fall-inspired art this week. At first, this fallish color mixing was just going to be completely my own take, but I have to give credit to one of my Instagram favorites, Andrea Nelson, for where I ended up going with this one. We'll start with blobs of our traditional leaf colors that I have in my basic 8-color Crayola watercolor set, because, as I so often say, reclaiming your creativity doesn't need to cost a lot. We have our fall, red, orange, and yellow, and the more summery green. If you use your art journal horizontally for this, it's perfect for our 4 color blobs. Then we'll experiment with what happens when we mix complementary colors and how we can use them to make a lovely fall color palette. We'll start with putting some red in the lid of our paint tray, or whatever mixing tray you use for watercolor. Then we'll add just a bit of red's complementary color, green. We'll then use our new color to paint a blob beneath our red. We can repeat the process with our orange and its complement blue, then yellow and purple. Be sure to not add too much of each of your complementary colors to your original. After yellow, we are at our green, which is the complement we added to red. But in our first mixing, we started with red and added a small amount of green. Now we're starting with green and adding a small amount of red. Different ratios produce different colors. I didn't quite get a great ratio with my orange and yellow, so I tweaked them a bit and added a couple of spare blobs on the facing page above my original colors. After they were dry, as Andrea Nelson would, well, as she did, I transformed my blobs into cute trees. Adjust your mixes as you see fit. Feel free to play with your mixes longer. Create your own forest if you'd like. I saw another Andrea Nelson reel and decided to use an autumn tree as inspiration, as I recently did a monarch butterfly wing for another funky small piece of neurographic art. Start your Sharpie or Micron pen or whatever other waterproof black pen you have, lines wide apart at the top of a vertical page for your treetop, narrowed close down through a trunk, then wider across the bottom of your page. As with the other neurographic art I've done with you, keep your lines wavy and definitely don't stop them from crossing. Find some small round objects to trace for circles in your treetop. Then it's time for the relaxing, get your mind out of spin cycle, softening of all those pointy crossings. After you have enjoyed the neurographic step of this week's small art, use some autumnal mixes to paint each circle. Start with ones that don't touch, then paint the overlapping circles after the others are dry. Did you notice there wasn't a journaling prompt last week? This week, our prompt is autumn and the changing of the season. The transition from summer to fall used to be far harder for me. Every year, its approach made me feel like I was literally dying. If you struggle with the end of summer and seasonal affective disorder, know that art is one tool you can use to combat the depression. I mentioned in last week's email how sometimes the times we most need to make art are the hardest to make it, but it's worth it. Taking the time to make art isn't a waste of time. It's a helpful antidepressant. And as we in the Northern Hemisphere continue to have shorter days, less sunlight, colder temperatures, it just makes sense to make time for things that help us feel better. So enjoy some color mixing and neurographic art. And look for the beauty even in the things you don't enjoy. It has been hard too many years for me to enjoy the beauty of autumn because it's so brief and it means that the hardest time of year is coming. It means the cold is coming. And I hate feeling cold. But I am also living proof that art helps. Art helps our brains battle depression and anxiety. So as I said, enjoy this week's small art and take some time to think about how this season affects you, how changes in the season may affect your mood. Being aware is the first step in dealing with something. Keep making time for art, and thank you for the opportunity to encourage you to take time for art. If you appreciate this video, please like, share, subscribe. Friendly comments, always welcome. If you decide to share some of your small art on social media to encourage others to take time for creative self-care, tag me. I'm Melinda Van Rye on Instagram and Melinda Van Rye Design on Facebook. I would so love to see your creativity. If you'd like the opportunity to share in a smaller, safe space, sign up for my no more than weekly email below and receive an invitation to the private Art Journal Journey Facebook group. I'll be back next week with another small art and journaling prompt. In the meantime, as I said, have fun with color mixing and neurographic art and other things that light you up. Taking time to make art is not a waste of time. You are wired for creativity. However that looks for you, you need to be creating things. You need to be exercising creativity in ways that are meaningful and enjoyable to you.